Week 11 in NFL Survivor Pools proved to be very deadly as the Minnesota Vikings get upset, although the LA Chargers barely survive. We'll talk about it and get you ready for Week 12 NFL Survivor Pools, all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants.
All right. Unless you just missed our show last week, hopefully you did. Our pick, Michael, we finally agreed on a pick, and oh goodness, the Minnesota Vikings had the lead late. They couldn't stop them, 4th and 6, and the Cowboys hung around and won it at the end of the game. Your thoughts, Michael?
My thoughts are that I'm really, really ticked off. I mean, what a total bummer. What a total bummer for our fantasy fans, or our Survivor Pool fans who are, a number of them picked this block of the game.
And I always take ownership over that, Michael. I mean, maybe it had nothing to do with us, but I always feel like, I'm so sorry, folks, that if you are on the fence between the Chargers and Minnesota, if we pushed you over, our apologies.
This game was tailor-made, Eric. I mean, like you've mentioned, that this Dallas Cowboy defense is horrible against the run, and the Minnesota Vikings have this strong run. Why can't you just run the ball down their neck all game long? And they tried to, and they couldn't.
Yeah.
And actually, we saw that the Jets, like you said, the Jets actually came out after a really bad start after that pick six. Came out and gave a showing as well. And so I think both teams.
The Chargers did everything possible at the end to give that game to the Jets. The Jets just didn't want it.
No, that's fair. But back to the Vikings game. I felt like clearly the Vikings are a superior team. They have the ability to play, they have a game plan. And with folks like Adam Thielen, they should be able to walk all over the Dallas Cowboys. And we just didn't plan for Andy Dalton to come out and make actually some bad throws, and CeeDee Lamb made him look really, really good with some nice plays. And so, you know what? We just blew it.
So, Michael, what did all this do to our NFL Survivor Pool?
Well, it cut our Survivor Pool in half. So we were at 28, and now we're down to 14. And really, everyone who got knocked out, save one, picked the Minnesota Vikings. So
I want to give a homage to the dearly departed, because they did a great job, Michael. They made it the first 10 weeks before they finally lost in week 11. That is Miguel, Brad, Carlos, Dana, Dennis, Derek, Glenn, John, Justin, Kelly, Kurt, Matt, Tyler, and Tom. If you relied on us, big apology to everyone except Miguel, who picked New England. I don't have any apologies for him, but apologies to the others if you relied on that. Michael, you and I said, go with Pittsburgh if you still have them, but neither of us had them, and we really did think Minnesota was going to be the next best pick.
We really did, and we saw with that Chargers game that was dangerous as well, and that would have only left a couple of players in our pool, because a lot of folks picked the Chargers as well. And so, there really wasn't any easy picks, although we had a couple of, clever picks who took advantage of injuries.
Yeah, I really am proud of the gentleman. I think his name was John, the first one on the list, who must have looked and said, gee, the Lions have Stafford, who's going to play but is hobbled. But they're not going to have their number one running back, DeAndre Swift. They're not going to have the number one wide receiver, Kenny Galladay. And they're not going to have their number 3 wide receiver in Danny Amendola. And with Carolina going at home, having almost no future value.
So why don't you put on the screen there our winners, which include John, who you mentioned, Phil, Ed, Matt, Corey, Brian, Sakin, Igor, Marine, Laura, Lona, Daniel, Mario, and Thomas. So we still have 14 left. And maybe we should get right into this week, prepare those 14.
All right. So we have 6 games, Michael, that I think is worthy of our consideration. Green Bay is the biggest favorite, 8.5 points at home over Chicago. Then we got 2 teams that are 7-point favorites. Miami at the New York Jets and the LA Rams at home against San Francisco. Cleveland Browns are 6.5-point favorites at Jacksonville. New Orleans, 6-point favorites at Denver. And the New York Giants, can you believe it? The New York Giants show up on our favorites list. The New York Giants are 5.5-point favorites at Cincinnati. Michael, let's see if we can eliminate a couple of games where we can just dismiss them right offhand. You want to talk?
Wait a minute. Where are my Raiders?
Oh,
the Raiders are playing the Falcons. Did nobody watch the Sunday night football game and the perhaps the second best team in the league barely losing to the best team?
We like your Raiders here, but just be patient with them. Who do they play next week?
They got the winless Jets. So although last year they had a really horrible loss to the Jets, so they're home this time, right? So
be patient. All right. Apparently you're auditing my favorite list, Michael. Is there anyone else that you want to make sure we talk about besides these?
I just had to put a plug in for my Raiders. I know they lost the game, but what a game it was. And, Atlanta looked pretty bad against the Saints without Drew Brees. So
I didn't get the memo that we could be homers this week. Seattle is 5.5-point favorites at Philadelphia, but Seattle still has both of the New York teams, so don't pick them this week.
All right, fair enough.
So of these 6 that we have on the board, I think we can dismiss New Orleans from this list. Even if you still have, a lot of people have picked New Orleans, but even if you do, I wouldn't use them this week.
Yeah, so New Orleans still has some future value, and even though Denver has looked really, really bad, they had a nice win against Miami this last week. I think that makes me a little bit less comfortable with them, especially with Drew Brees out. Yes, Taysom Hill looked great. Yes, New Orleans defense.
In the second half, Michael. He looked great in the second half.
And yes, their defense looked fantastic, but it's not Drew Brees. It's still, a little bit less dimensional than it would be with Drew Brees under center. Of course, let's save New Orleans for some of the future games that they have if you haven't used them yet. Most of our viewers have.
Yeah. So speaking of saving a team, don't pick the LA Rams this week. I know that they host the San Francisco 39ers, as I call them. Week 15, the Rams host the Jets. And not only that, that's by far the most valuable game in week 15. So if you've saved the Rams so far, continue to save them. Don't waste them this week. So
yeah, exactly. I think they have even more future value because of that week than even the Saints do. The Saints have some tough games left. So this I would rather pick the Saints this week if we're talking about future value. But I think in both of those games, be a little bit wary. And with the Rams, I mean, the Niners are coming off a bye. Again, we saw how the bye week can affect things.
Not knowing who you have left to pick, we think it should come down to one of 4 choices. Either Green Bay, Miami, Cleveland, and the New York Giants. We're going to reveal who we're going to pick. But let's just talk about those games, and then we'll let you know what our choices are. The New York Giants, I'm shocked they're on this list, right? That we would pick them, but what a difference a week makes. I mean, both of us love the Cincinnati Bengals, mostly of how great Joe Burrow has been. And then catastrophe. Joe Burrow is now out for the year. Exit Burrow, enter Ryan Finley. Exit any chances of Cincinnati winning many more games. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals just did a huge favor to the NFC East, which hurts the Philadelphia Eagles, the one team that tied the Cincinnati Bengals, because they play the NFC East for the most part of the rest of the season. Without Joe Burrow and with Mixon on the IR, I think anyone who's got the Bengals has got to be licking their chops. Part of this is the Giants getting a lot of street cred for what they did to the Eagles 2 weeks ago before their bye. But I think we just saw once again that the Eagles they're capable of losing to anyone. I like Daniel Jones. I think he is a relatively reliable quarterback, but he's still young. That coaching staff is still trying to figure itself out. This is tempting because I don't think Cincinnati will be as bad is they are going to be this week with Finley starting to get started and Mixon being clearly on the IR. There's a shell shock factor, right? When your franchise quarterback goes down, it hurts. And I think it's going to impact Cincinnati. I see the Giants winning this game probably by more than a 5.5 point spread.
And that shell shock happened immediately, right? They didn't do anything last week when once Burrow went out of the game. And of course, the huge factor to consider is Giants have zero. And when I mean zero, I mean zero future value. So this is by far the best game. So the question is, are you okay with not picking the Giants? And I think everybody would have said, yeah, before this past week. But it's something absolutely you should be considering the Giants this week. How much do you want to roll the dice this week on them, though? All right, so let's talk a little bit about Cleveland at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The winless Jacksonville Jaguars, once again, since Eric's Indianapolis Colts lost to them.
Yeah, all you have to do is, what week are we in? Okay, we finished the week 11, so they've lost 10 straight. Very easy. They've lost 10 straight. And most of these games, they're not even that competitive. They don't have a good defense, and that includes their rush defense, while Cleveland is getting healthier. They got back to that 1-2 punch between Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and it appears, Michael, that Cleveland is not interested in doing anything but running the ball. And if teams can't stop that, remember, they don't have Odell Beckham Jr. anymore. If teams can't stop that, and I don't think Jacksonville can, it's hard to see Jacksonville winning this game.
Yeah, and Cleveland's defense is looking pretty strong right now. They've gotten healthy as well. So I understand why I like to always think about the coaching staffs. I understand why Cleveland is coaching the game the way they are, which is a tribute against Baker Mayfield. But Jacksonville, I think Luton maybe can develop into something, but I think this is a relatively safe pick. But Cleveland does have some future value.
Yeah, as in
week 16. They got the Jets.
Well, Miami, 7-point favorites, speaking of the Jets. So obviously, just picking against the Jets so far has been the game-winning strategy for Survivor. So obviously, picking Miami, if you have them available, is something to consider. What are your thoughts? Well, let me give you my quick thoughts. Quick thoughts is a big problem with Miami is they are having trouble protecting the quarterback, right? They had to get Tua out of the game. It got so bad. Denver had 6 sacks against them. The Jets are having a whole lot of trouble with the game of football. So that's their problem. This is one more time I'm going to say it. If the Jets, well, I'll let you comment. I think Miami's a little overrated. I think they've had some really big plays on their defense that has come up with some pretty impressive wins. Are they better than the Jets? Absolutely, they're better than the Jets because the Jets are the worst team in football. But let me ask you, Michael, is Miami a playoff team? I don't think they are.
Not after this last week. That loss to Denver was pretty embarrassing. And if there's one team, maybe other than New England, that the Jets want to beat, it's the Miami Dolphins. And you know what? Yeah, they have looked bad. But did you watch the rest of that game? Joe Flacco and the receiver, tight end, and running back core looked decent in that game. And so, Joe Flacco knows how to win ball games. And even though he may not be the best quarterback anymore, he's going to be able to put some points up on the Dolphins. And so can they stop them? I don't think they should be able to, but like you say, the Dolphins offensive line, which has had an injury or two, is having a hard time protecting at least Tua. We'll see if, Fitzpatrick stays under center, and he's obviously a great option under center. The Dolphins should win this game. There is perhaps a little bit of reason to save them for next week against Cincinnati if Cincinnati still doesn't have Mixon back, which I don't think they can because I think he's formally on the IR. But it's tempting to keep going against the Jets.
When in doubt.
Yeah.
Anti-Jet philosophy. And then the last game, which is actually the highest spread, is Green Bay. After a very disappointing loss that they could have won at Indianapolis. They're 8.5-point favorites over Chicago. Here it comes again, coming off a bye.
Yeah. So, Chicago's defense is capable. And even though their offense has really shown a lot of weakness since early in the season, before Foles even, took the helm, I think that this is a rivalry game. And I know we haven't put a lot of stock into the rivalry games, but with Chicago coming off a bye and Green Bay kind of being exposed a little bit, I mean, that Indianapolis Colts team is a solid team. I think that this could be a close game. That I'm not comfortable with the spread. I certainly wouldn't be betting on this game. And I don't have Green Bay left. They do have some, not surprising, they do have some future value. But I'm a little bit nervous about this game. I'm not sure I would put this in my at the top of my rankings.
All right, so the moment of truth. Let's figure out the order. Okay, Michael, I have to admit, this is one of the hardest picks that we've had so far this year in deciding between those four. Assuming you have everyone on the board, I probably am going to go with Cleveland. They really don't have much future value except for week 16. And I think I'm covered and I think most people should be covered because I don't think anybody has picked Houston. And Houston is hosting a Cincinnati team that definitely won't have Burrow. They may have Mixon back. So I feel comfortable with that. My next choice would be Green Bay. And I can see you more going for Green Bay I do not think you should pick Green Bay if you've already picked the Rams. Because just look at week 15. Who are you going to pick? See, I'm saving Green Bay for week 15 because I already picked the Rams. The Rams are by far the best pick for week 15. But I'm going to once again save Green Bay. But Green Bay would probably be my second pick. Then the third pick, it becomes tough. I'll probably say Miami. And then finally the Giants. Look, I have all the respect in the world if you want to show some guts and pick the Giants. Because I really think the Bengals are going to be a very bad team this week without Mixon and Burrow. I just don't trust the Giants. So they're at number 4 for me. How about you?
Interesting. So I'm actually going a little bit different, almost opposite, not quite. I'm going to go with the Dolphins this week, take advantage that I still have them available. But I think it's kind of going against the Jets. And thinking that the Dolphins really have to win. They have to win this week if they're going to make the playoffs because they do have a tough schedule. And I think they really want to win. They want to make the playoffs. And I think they got a chance at it. And so they have to win this week. They know that looking at their schedule. So they're going to make sure they game plan accordingly. Cleveland should also win this week. So I like that pick, but I kind of like the Giants pick a little bit better because of what we talked about. I think the Saints, I think Cincinnati is going to be down and out. So from there, I actually go Cleveland, feeling like, Jacksonville has been pretty terrible. I just am not a huge Baker Mayfield fan right now. And then the Packers, and that's not an indictment of Aaron Rodgers or that coaching staff, Matt LaFleur. I think they are doing a great job. It's a little bit more of some kudos for Matt Nagy and that strong defense and the fact that they're on a bye week and it's a bit of a rivalry. And the Bears aren't out. And so they have to win this week in order to have an outside chance. I think the Packers win this game, but this is a game what I would definitely not bet on that spread. And so they're my fourth of the 4 picks.
Viewer Davon Phillips loves you, Michael. He's a huge Bear fan. So he says, don't count out the Bears. So you and he agree. So if you had all these teams, your pick would be?
The Dolphins.
The Dolphins. And you still have the Dolphins. So I guess that is going to be your pick. So you're going with the Dolphins. I am going to go with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, isn't what really going on, Michael, is I'm picking against Jacksonville and you're picking against the New York Jets for the contest of who's going to get the number 1 pick?
Maybe a little bit of that.
It could be. But interesting, Michael, the crowd agrees with me. The crowd who hasn't missed a pick. 19% of the people right now are picking Cleveland. Here's what's shocking. 16% of the people are picking Seattle. Do they not look at the schedule that they have the Jets and the Giants coming up at home? And then Miami. Your Miami is the third pick, 13%, and the Giants at 12%. So the bottom line is the crowd is going with Cleveland. Michael, what's Las Vegas doing?
Las Vegas they like how I pick, and so they're also going with the Dolphins.
Of course, they want to go with Green Bay, but they've already picked the Packers. So the next highest spread is the Miami Dolphins. I mean, this is the week of family, but I want to thank my FFC family, and I want to wish each of them a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. Keep doing what you're doing, which is being such a great community, being so positive in the comment sections, giving us your take. It's so much appreciated.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo that. My alma mater right here is working with a lot of hashtag give thanks this week. You might have saw Taysom Hill's give thanks as well. So I'm going to give thanks to our viewers as well. Remind them to please continue to watch us, continue to tell us what you're thinking and who you're going to pick this week and why. And go ahead and bag on us for making such a bad pick this last week against the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? But we miss you guys, and we hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy this week of football, and we'll see you next week.
And reminder, at the end of this season, we are going to do a subscriber-only contest to win real money. So if you're out of your poll, don't worry. Still stay tuned. We'll tell you all about it as we get toward the end of the year and finish this poll. All right, everybody, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.